Hola, everyone. Welcome to part two of our episode with Danny. If you guys missed part one, make sure that you go listen or watch that. We talked a lot about different things. We talked about his journey, we talked about him being an Aztec dancer, it bringing him into awareness about the universe and like connecting us all, Reiki, yoga. So make sure that you don't miss part one. And in this part, we thought we could talk about those same subjects, but a little bit differently. We can start off by talking about the stigmas that surround like things like Reiki, for example, or tarot, and what your experience has been with them. Like, has there been negative comments that are made? Right off the bat, I think like what I know, like in my family, if they see cards like that, it's like, oh, esas cosas son del diablo, right? So there's these like really rough and hard closed-minded stigma. So what has your experience been like with that?
Yeah, when it comes to tarot cards specifically, yeah, I get hate. I get hate a lot
Okay.
on social media a lot. And I also don't like to tell people in my regular life that I read tarot cards because it's very polarizing. Either people love it or they hate it. And so I'm just like, I don't need to, first off, I don't need to tell anybody anything about anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
in life. But it's also, yeah, because it's so polarizing. I've had a
Yeah.
lot of people just be like, oh, te vas a ir al infierno. It's funny, my mom, when I told them, I was like, yeah, I make most of my money now from like, TikTok tarot readings and private tarot
Mm-hmm.
readings. Um, she was like, ay, pues, persínate siempre porque esas cosas estás abriendo portales, no sé, like all this kind of stuff, right? And, I have a spiritual mentor, I have a madrina, so she teaches me as well how to protect my vibes and energy. Um, but I don't get a lot of hate when it comes to like Reiki or yoga. On the contrary, I feel like those two things are I think being Latino, we love spirituality. Like we love it. You feel me? And even with the new viral hit of ¿cómo se llama? Kelly Uchis and JT, I believe. La de sana sana colita de rana. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's in there I read this book. There's an elder, um, and he writes like spirituality books, and he talked about how the toad or the rana is used a lot in traditional curanderismo, and so that I just know that we have so much spirituality embedded in our culture, because yoga is seen as something really good. A lot of people just, oh yeah, yoga is good because you stretch or whatever. It's not actually stretching, but we're not going to talk about that. It's just the hate that I get for tarot. Sometimes I do get kind of like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine with those things, like you said, in person, it's sometimes even not worth talking about because some people really think that you want to hear their opinion. And it's like, no, like you just asked this question. I'm just answering. It's not that I want you to tell me. Like, basically, they project onto you fear, right? Or like misunderstanding that things that they don't understand. Um, and so with your family, is it something like that they worry about still, or now they've come into like understanding that it's what you do, Because I imagine, like, for example, me, I'm starting my intuition kind of route where I do get intuitive hits, and I've gotten even like energetic hits where like I can sense what my client is feeling when I'm talking to them. And that's really strange to me because I don't have like Reiki training, but I've mentioned it to my mom, and so on a regular basis, like she'll be like, "Oh, asegúrate que hagas esto y asegúrate que," like that. So is your mom like that too about your work?
That's funny. That's funny. Yes and no. Like I think it used to be more, especially when I was just starting out, like to actually make money off of it. You know what I mean? When I
Mm-hmm.
was just doing it as a personal practice, I didn't really tell anybody. Um, but I had my altar and I had my space for the cards. But now, like, my mom has definitely turned around too. Like, it wasn't ever any hate. It was more so como una preocupación.
Mm.
Always saying like, pero siempre tente una cruz o un rosario, and now just even with my own spiritual mentor, like, um, that having a rosario is something that is a tool that you can use through
Mm.
different spiritual to really being more in contact with my spirit guides and um, through the lens of espiritismo, which is
I see.
a whole other thing. But no, my mom has turned around. I had my car broken into a few months ago, and they stole my backpack, and my backpack had two decks of tarot cards and crystals, like a crystal necklace. And me
Uh-huh.
sentí bien gacho because I was like, "Fuck, like steal anything but that." You feel me? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, my
Dang.
brother had given me the cards that they stole, and my mom ended up buying me new ones. And she was like, "Ten pa que trabajes." And so it's just kind of like
Aw.
it was beautiful to see that like complete, what is it, 180?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. What about with like, do you feel like you had to come out of the closet in the sense of like with your friendships, with your relationships in that way, you know? Is it something that you like keep to yourself until you're ready? What does that actually like feel like?
It's funny that you say coming out the closet. The second coming out the closet. Oh, if y'all don't know, I'm in the LGBTQIA community, right? Yeah, I'm queer too, but um, no, it's just in a way, yes, and in a way, no. I think it's funny now. I think that when I started my pages, I didn't have a lot of people kind of support me that I had grown up with.
Mm.
Um, But then when I see them in person, randomly, right, they'll be like, "Oh, I saw you on TikTok. You have a lot of followers or whatever." And I'm just like, "Okay, yeah, but you ain't following me. You lurking, but
Mm.
you ain't supporting, right?" Some do. Some have been really cool and like will like my posts, even though I know for a fact that they're not super spiritual or into tarot, but they do, show love in that
Mhm.
way. But yeah, I think yeah, tarot could just be polarizing. I feel like
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
What would you someone let's say that there's someone who's never had a tarot reading and they have this conditioning in the back of their mind but they're curious. What would you tell someone like that?
Well, it's different because every tarot reader is different.
Mm.
Um, I would say if you're fearful, don't do it. Don't do anything that instills fear in your body. Like that's just gonna continue to vibrate in your whole emotional self, right? So I would be like, no, mejor, vete al otro lado, tú. I don't want to create, fear. But the way that I read tarot cards, I also, um, I have taken classes on tarot psychology, and there's a whole branch of tarot psychology, which, do you know who Freud is?
Mhm.
Sigmund Freud, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, he had a friend named Carl Jung.
Mhm. Called
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
do you know him?
Yeah. Cuz
Oh, okay.
I was going to be a minor in psychology, so I took some classes, yeah.
Well, Carl Jung has done analytical psychology through tarot, and he has, he very much liked tarot. And you can't necessarily use tarot psychology in a clinical sense, but you can do it as an exploration of mindfulness or an exploration of the present self. And so the way that I read cards is yes, they have a traditional meaning and they have a traditional um, objective, but instead of me straight up saying, "Oh, like te salió esta carta, you're getting cheated on" or whatever, right? It's more so about what is the feeling that we feel when we're cheated on, right? Or we
Mm.
feel disheartened. Then I'll say like, "Oh, the energy of disheartening vibes is showing up. How is that showing up for you in this moment right now?" And so then that's when they'll talk, or I'll say, have you been, if that same quote unquote cheating card comes up, then I'll also ask like, where have you felt lied to, you know what I mean? And
Mm,
then we'll go from there and we'll pull cards. So it's more, my tarot readings are different, and every tarot reader is different, and so I feel like, si te da miedo, just don't do it. Like, don't do it. Don't put yourself in a position where you know you're not gonna enjoy it. Tap into joy. I'm all about joy.
yeah. Okay, this is actually a question that came in because I asked my IG followers to ask you
Oh,
some questions. Yeah.
wow.
Okay. What got you into doing tarot?
So in my belief system, I have a spirit that walks with me. Again, we talked about like espiritismo. That was a tarot reader, and so I think tarot cards were always interesting to me as a little kid. And this is, if you know, like, and this is dope that you know. As a little kid, I used to be very into this anime called Sakura Card Captors, which
Mm,
is, I don't know if you've heard of it, but basically it
no.
revolves this 13-year-old girl, or like 12-year-old girl, and she picks up a deck of tarot cards, and she saves the worlds with them because she could bring out the energy of the cards, and she becomes this like super badass heroine, right? And and she's a little ass girl, right? And so that was always my favorite anime, and I couldn't get out of my head. So as I
Whoa.
gotten older and I realized that you can use cards to read people or read yourself, I was like, I really need to learn. I have to learn. I have to learn. And so then at 22, 21, around that age when I first moved out, I got my first deck, and I was like, con todo lo que he aprendido con Danza Azteca, I'm gonna force myself. I'm gonna do it. And it was like a sport in a way. Like, I would practice, like I would pull
Wow.
cards for myself on a daily basis. Like what was the energy of today? And then I'll pull a card and I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, this resonates because X, Y, and Z. And I started tapping into my intuition. Um, and then I later learned about Carl Jung, psychology, and the analytical aspects of tarot, and how you can utilize tarot as a mindfulness based perspective, or through a mindfulness based perspective. And so the way that I read now has completely changed, right? It's not so much just vibes. It's also questioning the individual, or questioning even myself, right? Like how a
Mm,
specific energy or vibe relates to my present moment.
mm-hmm. Is that something that you have to be mindful of? Because I imagine if it's based on intuition, do you think, or maybe it's a silly question, like no se cruzan los cables of like what's for you and what's for the person you're reading for?
Never, no. Because
Okay.
I don't read for, honestly, I don't really read for me that much. And if I do, I'll just pull one card, maybe a week now.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think again with practice, right? With prayer and incantations, whenever um, I read for people. I'm there for them. I'm not there for me, So this is a service that I'm providing. So I always, set that boundary internally with myself even before I
Mm-hmm.
start.
Does that still apply for like things that are present in your life? Because I think I mean, we're young, right? So like as young people, we're deepening our knowledge of things like love, pain. Like as we grow, I think we get different facets of it, right? So we can deepen. Maybe we thought love was one thing, but then we experience something else that gives us a more robust, I guess, like, perspective of it. Do you like think about that when it comes to reading? How maybe if this week has been about relationships with you, when you come and you read, like maybe your like lens will be through the lens of relationships, or like, or is that kind of the same thing where you set this boundary and you really feel like you're able to put that aside?
That's why I don't really do collective readings. I don't
Mm,
do, the only times I do quote unquote collective readings would be like when I post a card on TikTok or something.
mm,
But I don't do collectives because I think that's when it becomes whatever, just whatever shows up kind of thing. And it can do more harm than good sometimes, right?
mm,
And you'll experience it. You'll be on TikTok and then somebody's like, I see somebody cheating and I see somebody going to jail and I see somebody doing this and I see somebody doing that. And it's
Oh.
like, that can be very broad, you know, and maybe you were watching TV, maybe you were watching Cops before. And, you know,
Yeah.
and so that's why the card meanings in a way change for that reading. So I
Mm,
honestly prefer to just do personal readings. Like, I don't, even when I go on my live, I only do personal readings. I don't like to do collectives because I don't think it's not creating mindfulness. It's just creating projection. You know, you're
mm,
projecting something, and somebody will resonate, or somebody will feel like they need to resonate,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. They'll like, yeah, attune to it. That actually aligns with one of the questions, which is like, what is it really like doing readings on TikTok? As a platform, I think, like people can be scrolling, run across your live, and then ask you a question, boom. Or there can be really intentional people who have been following you for months and they're like, I'm finally going to get this reading. So you get a mix of it all, right? How is that really like on your end, on your side?
That's a really good question, and I like that whoever asked that, shout out to them because that's a dope question. Um, I guess it is what it is. Not playing. No,
Oh, wow.
no, 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 no. No, it's a responsibility, of course it is. But I also I'm just gonna go back to that idea of the collectives, right? It's no shade to the people that do collective readings. Like, on the contrary, if that's what you do, like, shout out to you, and how beautiful, right? Um, for me, it's just like, again, it goes back to, I want to help people, right? I try to keep my prices reasonable, right, to people, because I don't. I've seen some people charge over hundreds of dollars for a live, and for me, it's like, if you
Wow.
can't, if you can't even see the person, if you can't have that human connection, um, and really, again, because the way that I read, it's analytical, right? So it's about analyzing what is truly going on in the individual. So it feels good. Sometimes, a lot of the times, I do feel like it's just a commodity for people, and sometimes me siento bien usado.
See, eso,
But
that's
yeah,
what I mean.
yeah.
That's what I mean. Like that, how does that feel? Cause like I've seen people that just go that on there like, am I gonna have a boyfriend in a month? Like, are we gonna break up? So it's just like, it's not as intentional maybe as some of your readings can be, right? Or like, it's like you have more to offer than like that, right? So how do you manage that on your end, knowing that maybe they paid, right? And so like, it's kind of like something that you have to do. Is there a way that you filter it, or you still are like, okay, this is part of the job?
A little of both. Everything you said, right? I think, right. I don't feel, because I do come from a science background. Like, who would have thought, right? That the tarot reader, that the tarot
Yeah.
reader's into science. Um, I don't want to do any kind of health related questions. And whenever anybody's like, "How is my health gonna be?" I'll always say, "I don't know. Go check in with the doctor." Or I'll be like, "I don't know. Did you get enough sleep?" And
Did
then,
you drink
I
water?
guess, right? Did you drink water? Do
Yeah.
you eat vegetables? Like, that's like, you don't need a tarot reader for that. You don't
Mm,
need that at all. I think a tarot reader, at the end of the day, is for self-reflection. You know what I mean? Because even the question that you bring tells me something about you,
mm,
right? Like,
mm,
oh, am I gonna be in love in a month? Like, then, are you having enough human interaction, or are you having enough human connection, right? And is that missing in your life, or have you been idolizing relationships for a long time, right? Like, so it tells me something, right? There's a starvation of love there, right?
mm,
In some way, shape, and form. um and so I think, yeah, I mean, there is, yeah, I mean, yeah, con todo que tenga un precio, siempre va a haber algo de, like, de me están usando, you feel me, in some way, shape, and
mm,
form, right? In
mm.
anything. When I go to my barber, he has a sticker that says, all money is dirty. And I've been really thinking about that kind of ideology of, yeah, no, like, inherently, I feel like money can be very dirty, no matter what you do, no matter how pure your heart is, right? I think,
Mm.
that there's a layer of, at some point you're gonna feel some type of way.
Dang. And especially TikTok has a way of doing that. It's like, dang.
No shade to
No.
TikTok though. Thank you for
Yeah,
the
no. We
platform.
love, yeah. We love its opportunities, but yeah, like the
Yeah.
way it's created, it's like it's wild. I think it's been like such a interesting thing to like come into because when I left my corporate job, I was so tired of the transactional aspect of it all. Like it was so transactional.
Mhm.
And right now on TikTok, I'm like, it's so weird because part of it feels that way too. Like there is this transactional aspect to it. But there's also a connection, which is really cool.
I think that has to do with money, right? I think if, and here goes me again hating systems, right? Money, capitalism, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, another question. Let me see. What tips would you give someone who's never had a Reiki session before, but will,
Mm.
but wants to?
Um, One, it's an open, going with an open mind. Um, to the Reiki healer is just there to help you. The Reiki session is an exploration of self, but it's also a time for yourself. That is a healing space for you. So whatever emotion, whatever anything comes up, it's supposed to come up. Two, feel it out, feel it with your Reiki master, feel it with the Reiki practitioner that is practicing this onto you, because they're there for your help, right? I briefly explained what Reiki kind of is. And yeah, Reiki is honestly, at least the way that I was taught, it's the power of pure love. When we were
Mm-hmm.
kids, like I said, when you scraped yourself and your mom or dad or whoever kissed it and it felt better, that's your parent practicing Reiki on you, right? It's intimate. It's very intimate.
Mm-hmm.
And so, although Reiki energy can be used to manifest specific goals, right, through the symbolism that they use and or we use as well, right, and the acknowledgement that we are living within a living system. um it's a you thing. It's, I think, again, personalized Reiki is beautiful because if it's almost like acupuncture, and it does use the same meridians that acupuncture utilizes, where it's kind of like forcing you in a meditation. It's forcing you to sit still, right? And so because of all of that tender love and care that person is giving onto you, it can be very powerful for the person because maybe they haven't received that much attention in their life, and so
Mm-hmm.
it can bring up a lot of
Mm.
unbottled, or it can bring up a lot of bottled emotions. There we go, not unbottled.
Yeah.
um so again, be open minded, and what's gonna come out is supposed to come out.
Yeah. Ooh, that must be so interesting because there's so many different ranges, I assume, of people, right? And like the inner work that they've done or not. Even people who think they've done some inner work, there's always maybe things that they're not willing to work on that might come up. So it sounds like, yeah, maybe you deal with a wide range of experiences through that, huh?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's difficult to tap into yourself, and again, shout out to everyone that's trying, that has the intention, even if they haven't tried it but is in their mind, because it is difficult. It's very brave of people to face themselves. Like, it's tough work.
Yeah. Yeah. And in your opinion, can it become an escape as well?
Yeah.
Like having, yeah.
So I was like, yo.
Yeah.
My
No,
bad.
yeah,
What
because
was?
that's what I was just thinking right now. Like, I wonder, like, some people could keep coming back to Reiki over and over because they don't want to face themselves still. It can become, not that it is, right? But in some way, it can be like, oh, I need someone else to face myself. I need that intervention. So
Yeah.
it can, I think anything, as I'm thinking about it, like anything can give you power and take it away too if you give it away, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had moments where I've even turned people away from reading their cards because
Mm,
I they'll come with the same question and they didn't like the answer that they got. And
mm,
then they go to someone else and they also didn't like what they got. So they come back and they ask me the same question or a variation of that same question. And then I'm just like, I just read you like yesterday and you asked the
mm,
same question, right? That's more of
yeah.
an exploration of you than anything. So I'll be like, I'm just not gonna read your cards. Here's your money back. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm,
in my belief system, I am channeling my ancestors. I'm asking permission to my ancestors to read cards,
mm-hmm.
right? And so in a way, it's almost disrespectful to my ancestors, and I'm not trying to create that, right? Even though
Mm-hmm.
I do have an analytical perspective, a psychological perspective on tarot, I did start with the spiritual first. So eso nunca se me va a quitar, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. What do they think about TikTok?
Who?
Has
My
it,
ancestors?
yeah, your ancestor.
Well, again, like I said, one of the spirits that walks with me was a card reader, and another
Mm-hmm.
spirit that walks with me was like a musician. And so,
Mm.
um, I think they like that I'm on a platform.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I say it jokingly, but no, like I wonder what like the I don't necessarily think I have that kind of connection yet, like to specific spirits or guides. But I do think that it's interesting. Like I wonder what they think, like is it another form of repeating a certain cycle like capitalism and stuff? Is it a way out? What kind of
I
avenue is
mean,
it?
no, I love that you asked that question, or it's just I don't know, dude. I think like on a side note or on like a real kind of dialogue about that, it's well, I don't think we'll ever be able to, and this isn't to be a Debbie Downer or whatever, but it's just like I don't think we'll ever be able to escape capitalism. I think we're in it to
Mm.
win it. So, like, no, for real, like, I mean, because at the end of the day, like, I want to own a house or apartment or something, like, una, también me gustaría,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad want. Um, it's also just realizing that, like, um, the way things are set up, the way systems are placed, right? You would have to challenge the whole system, right, for that to change. There would have to be like a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, like a
For
reset button.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like eso no se va a quitar nunca.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the phase of I think like my journey where I'm at where it's like recalibrating cuz like I think in the journey you can lean really hard on one end or another like F systems, right? Or like I love everyone and then like or I hate everyone. And I think there comes a point where like okay, yeah, you explored your edges. I think you called it that. You explored your edges. Where do you want to land? Like where do you want to set foundation? Where do you want to kind of move from? And I think that's where I'm at, where it's like, okay, I've done a little bit of that. Like, where do I want to, like, yeah, like set my foundation and go from there? Because, like you said, then we are still existing in this world. We still do want a house. We do want the things, right? So, yeah, it's like such a balance for it all.
Yeah, yeah. Playing with your edges is actually yoga philosophy that kind of pushes you to tap into resilience. So always try to play with your edges, playing with them, right? Not completely going there, but just playing with them, observing.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Well, we are coming to an end to our part two. And I just want to thank you because I think that having people like you who have such a dynamic like personality, we're like laughing like and like we talk in Spanish, and then like you bring me back to like yoga and like a philosophy. And I'm like, this is your power. This is like your gift. You know, that's what's super cool
Oh,
and super dope, like about you. So I think that that will serve so many others too, and will bring others that maybe are attracted to your energy and the way that you do things. Like, I feel it's like your uniqueness, you know, that will help you in whatever you do next. So that's awesome.
no, that is hella sweet of you. And damn, thank you. I'm gonna take that with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, yes, how cool that I'm over here and you're like, you know, joking. And then it's just like, and also, did you know that? I'm like, dang, okay.
You feel me?
Yeah, I'm like, all right, educate me. Yes. So, yeah, thank you so much for what you do. I have just some fun questions to end off this part. Pozole o tamales? Super random.
Wait, pozole or what?
Or tamales. Which do you prefer?
Ah, pozole.
What?
Easy. Well, no, but yeah.
Okay, so pozole is the winner
Mhm.
in your. Okay. Champurrado or hot chocolate?
Can I say neither?
Yeah, for sure. Cafe, I'm assuming for you.
Yeah, cafecito con canela. Cafecito de olla.
De olla, so good. Okay, concha de vainilla o chocolate?
Can I say un puerquito? I don't like conchas.
Oh, okay. Look at you challenging my.
I'm
You're like
challenging society right now.
society. Yeah, yeah. You're like, no, not neither. Okay, okay. What about? Do you like tacos?
Of course.
Okay,
Tacos
so
over vatos.
okay, so we're pulling up to your favorite taco spot. What is your taco order?
um, quiero tres tacos light. No. Have you heard of that? No,
No.
I'm getting. No, oh my God. In my parents' pueblo, they have this thing called tacos light. And all they do is they
Mm.
put tortillas con col,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
repollo.
wow. Wow.
FYI, the more you
Interesting.
know.
The more you know. Okay, but what's
Um,
your taco order?
yeah, my taco order. I'm gonna do like dos de pollo y dos de asada. I'm kind of basic when it comes to that. I need hella rábanos though, and I need some jalapenos. Period.
Mm. Salsa
Yeah,
verde o roja?
a la que esté más picosa,
Mm.
neta.
Ok, ok. ¿Y con todo o la pura carne?
Obviously, con todo. That's all the flavor, fool.
All right, all right, all right. Well, that concludes my questions. Super random. Thank you for answering them. I know I
Oh
didn't even.
no! Thank you, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so, so, so much for being a part of the podcast, for your time, for your knowledge. And is there any last words before we close this part? Part numero dos.
I make sure you drink your water.
We're hungry, y'all. Yeah, it's lunchtime. Make sure you eat. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you share this if you found it fun, helpful, etc. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.